And welcome back to the Yeah No Yeah podcast. It's our last one of the year. We got a nice one for you today because we're talking about college football. The playoffs are here. We got some NFL topics. We've got teams punching their tickets and teams staying alive for the playoff hunt. And we do have our Pistons update. It's not a good one, though. Let's get into it. All right, let's start with the college football playoffs.
Let's do it.
It's been a while since we got those rankings. It's been a while since, Florida State felt snubbed, Georgia felt snubbed. What do we think? Let's circle back, right? How do we feel a month later?
Yeah, I'm still under the impression they got it right. I think it was good having Washington in. I think Alabama obviously beating Georgia put them above Georgia, and Florida State rightfully so to be upset. They could have changed the rules. We said that they weren't going to because they're being dumb about it. But if Florida State doesn't beat Georgia in their bowl game, then none of this matters anyways. And I don't think they're going to beat Georgia. So we'll see how that turns out, and then we can come back again and say if Florida State really got snubbed. Because if they whoop Georgia, then yeah, maybe there's no reasoning they should have been in there in the fourth spot. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, there's a lot of Florida State fans claiming that if Florida State beats Georgia, they will consider themselves the champion. It's an interesting take, especially when Georgia didn't beat Bama.
Yeah, it depends on how well they beat them and how that game goes.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a little harder without a starting quarterback. So, all right, let's move on to Washington, Texas. All right, we'll start with the 2-3 matchup. It's the later game. It's a little different this year. They're playing on an actual New Year's Day rather than New Year's Eve. We're not going to get that countdown when Ohio State missed the kick as the ball dropped, but it's still going to be a fun game. It's going to be in New Orleans, so there's going to be a little bit of an advantage for Texas fans traveling to the game. Do we think that's going to make a difference here?
Honestly, I feel like once you're at this level, and it is technically a neutral site, so it's not like you have your home rituals that you do. I think when it's at this level, cheering fans are cheering fans, and they're going to be cheering whether you want them to be quiet or not. So I don't think the crowd noise is going to really have a huge factor. So no, I don't think being closer to Texas is going to have a huge favor for them. I do believe that Texas will win, though, because, and we're going to go into this in a second, Texas's defense is leaps and bounds better than Washington's. And I think they're going to be prepped and ready to go, and Washington's not going to be able to handle it.
Yeah, Washington's defense, their line's not up to par with Texas's offensive line or defensive line, for that matter. Their secondary is pretty good. They're going to be able to control their wide receivers. They can play zone. They can play man-to-man. The schemes that they develop for their secondary is pretty elite, but Texas also has some great playmakers, some five-star recruits that are going to make plays. Quinn Ewers is going to throw the ball downfield, and it'll get controlled sometimes. Sometimes it won't, but I think it's going to be in the trenches, and that's where Texas dominates. I also have Texas winning this game. Texas is a 4-point favorite. Are you going above that line? Are you saying they cover those 4?
Yeah.
All right. What do you think? So what do you think the score is going to be?
Score? Okay, so I did a little bit of research for just points per game for each of the team, how much they score, how much they've allowed throughout the season. Texas has scored 36.2 and has allowed 17.5. And then Washington scored 37.7, but has allowed 23.6. So I'm going to put my my scoring prediction at Texas will have 20. I'm between 24 or 27. I'll say 24. And Washington will be at whatever 7 below that is. So 17.
All right, so you think it's going to be a lower scoring game than they're
I
projecting?
do. I do. I understand why they are projecting it to be a high scoring game, right? Washington's powerhouse, they both score about 35 points a game, but they've had months of preparation, not months, but a month of preparation. They've all had time to heal up, get their strategies going. It's going to be, can we contain and can we limit them from Washington passing it deep, and for Texas running it up the throat and having time of possession. And I think that's what's going to happen. Is Texas is going to hold on to the ball for as long as possible, so Washington's explosive offense can't be on the field. They'll score the points they need and they'll win it.
I have a weird line here. Okay. I think Washington's going to come to play, right? They're going to score some touchdowns early.
Okay.
And I think Texas' defense is going to take over. Texas struggles in the red zone. Well,
Yeah.
they can get down there, but it's because, of that big playability.
Yeah.
Once they get closer to the actual goal line, they struggle a little bit. I think there's going to be a lot of field goals in this game from
Yeah.
Texas'
Yeah.
side. They're going to be able to get down the field, but they're not going to be able to punch it in. 26-24,
Oh, okay.
Texas. I
Okay.
think Washington's going to cover it. They're going to come to play, but Texas is they're going to last. It's going to be a last second field goal.
Okay. I like it. A last second field goal to win it.
Last
Ooh.
second field goal to win it.
Okay. Okay. I like that prediction.
All right, let's move on to the other matchup. The one that's a little closer to home, although it's in California, but we're not going to talk about that part of it.
Literally.
Alabama and Michigan. Michigan right now is a 2-point favorite, which is about where the line started. I think it started at 2.5.
Yeah.
Everyone expected it to kind of fall down to a pick'em game, even both sides. It hasn't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
It went down to about 1, and then it bounced back up to 2 for Michigan. So it's an interesting line right now. Early predictions. What do you see? What are you seeing in this game?
So I know in the past, like explicitly last year, Michigan's run game was phenomenal. This year, I think it's slowed down a little bit. I don't think they're as dominant as a run team as they were last year. With that being said, they did not seem happy to be matched up with Alabama. You don't want to go against a Nick Saban team that's had a month to prepare. But there's in my mind, they're still the best team in college football. Like there isn't a team that is more complete and can play to the strategy that they need to. Whether or not it's because they're stealing signs, we're not gonna go down that road. If Alabama hasn't changed their signs yet, I highly recommend they do, because why wouldn't they? I still think Michigan's gonna not dominate, but they're gonna win pretty single handedly. I think 2 is really low. I think it's gonna be at least a touchdown, might be up to 2 touchdowns. I think it's gonna be gross.
All right. I would love to see it, right?
Yes.
Love to see it. I'm not as confident.
Okay.
Offensive line has been a concern the last 2 games. Zach Zinter with that injury, that season-ending injury against Ohio State. Iowa couldn't put a lot of pressure on them. Iowa's just not up to par, right? With an Alabama-led Nick Saban team.
Yeah. Would you say Ohio State is?
Yes, but he got hurt a little later in the game. I would honestly put Ohio State and Alabama, neck and neck.
Yeah.
I do think Michigan wins the game. I think I'm going a little more heart than with my mind here.
Okay.
But I do think they win the game. It's going to be, it's going to be a real battle, though. It's going to be a defensive-sided game. I see like a 20-17 win.
Wow.
Like it's going to be
higher.
It's going to be close. I don't think there's going to be a lot of scoring. I think it's going to be Michigan defense coming up with a stop against Jalen Milroe. Maybe some turnovers. He is a little more free with the ball. Hopefully, they disguise themselves very well on defense.
Yes.
Saint Still is he has picked off a lot of passes this year. This is the spot to do it.
Okay. I am higher on Michigan, which is a shock. I normally am not. I think Michigan's going to come out swinging. I think they have a grudge against NCAA football, and they're going to prove that they are the better team no matter what. I think they're going to win 30-20.
Ooh, okay.
Yep,
All right. This feels like the championship game, right?
for
Like
sure.
this, like whoever's coming out of this game is going to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to me.
If they don't, yeah, it's a disappointment.
Yeah. This and this is such a game where if Bama wins it, they'll take that momentum into the championship game and just
Stop.
destroy whoever they
Yeah,
play. Yeah.
yeah.
All
And
the doubt this year and beating the Michigan team, the top team in the country, they ride that momentum into a championship this year.
I am confident that Michigan would have rather matched up with anyone else but Alabama.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They would have rather played Georgia.
Yep, 1,000%.
Bama was not the team they wanted to see.
It's tough.
It's going to be fun, though. It's going to be fun.
So both games are on New Year's. When's the championship game? A week after?
That following Monday, the 8th.
All right. Here we go.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I'm either going to be heartbroken or ecstatic next week.
As long as whichever team wins or loses, as long as it isn't because of a stupid call. If it's a stupid call, it is going to taint everyone's end of the year college football, and especially going into the new playoff series and with the Florida State drama and the Michigan, it's just going to ruin the end of it. So as long as they don't make a stupid, like crazy pass interference call, I could see that being the difference. Like that's going to happen in one of these games.
I could see that. Yeah. A late, fourth quarter drive where there's a questionable call results in like a field goal or a game winning touchdown. Yeah. I could see it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it in every other big
sporting
event. So I can't doubt that.
Yeah. So if Texas wins, Michigan wins, Michigan winning.
Yes, absolutely.
And we'll go over that. We'll go over that the week before the game too.
Absolutely.
Right.
Just talk about that game. Love that.
Sounds good.
All right, let's move on to the NFL. We got some nice topics here. So,
can I preface this real quick?
Absolutely.
The NFL season has turned into something that I did not expect it would. I remember at the beginning of the season they had like that, the script with everyone sitting down. The script has been crazy. So okay, continue. Just go for it.
Hard to doubt that, right? Like where do we go? We got 3 topics we got to talk about here. Well, let's just talk about Russell Wilson first.
Okay.
It's the hottest topic right now. The Broncos, who are in the playoff mix, okay, are going into this game next week with Russell Wilson on the bench and Jarrett Stidham leading the Broncos to a playoff contention. You're right. Who had that in the script?
Yeah. When 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in, we were like, Broncos are the worst team in the NFL. Now, oh wow, they're in the playoff hunt. They might make playoffs. Bench their starting quarterback. It's like, what are we doing here?
So there's a lot of talk about his contract and they want to get rid of his money. I don't think that's got anything to do with it because he has played well enough to, control some of that, that backlash to the contract.
Yeah.
Sean Payton has developed him into a serviceable quarterback. I think this has something to do with an ego with either between Sean Payton and Russell Wilson or the team and Russell Wilson leading back to last year. I mean, this feels the timing is weird.
Yeah.
This could have been done weeks ago, but now they choose to bounce back and say, oh no, Russell Wilson's not our quarterback.
So from what we've heard, right, of the rumors and everything, it did happen weeks ago. They went to him and said, hey, you either need to rework your contract or we're going to bench you because we don't want to pay you the guaranteed $37 million or whatever it is. And he was like, no. It's like, okay. So now they're benching him. And I agree that I think there is more to it than just the money. Like, I forgot when it was, but there's that conference and Sean Payton's like, well, I can't replace the offensive line and all the skill players. It's like, but at the same time, Russell Wilson's been one of the best quarterbacks the last 4 games. Like statistically, he's been one of the best.
Yeah, his QBR has been through the roof.
Yeah, I think he's like 6th or something. I don't know. So that makes me think it's more about the money and they're prepping for next year. but they're still in playoff contention. So why are they doing this now? I don't get it.
It's such a weird decision because if you told me that they were going to bench him, when they were 1-5, and they were going to go after a top level quarterback, I'd be like, okay, that kind of makes sense. But they're not going to get a good draft spot.
Nope.
They're not they're still in the playoff push. Where, I mean, if you're in the AFC, I don't think you want to see Denver.
No.
You would rather see the Steelers. We'll talk about them later. The Colts without a quarterback other than Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
A banged up Texans team that is, as well as they've played, are all rookies and all young players that have no playoff experience.
Yeah, they'll crumble. Yeah.
Denver's not the team you want to see.
No. I think there's a lot. I think there's a lot into it. I think you're right. The ego thing. I think Russell Wilson's heading towards retirement, and he just doesn't care. He just wants to guarantee money. And honestly, it kind of got to a point where I'm like, shame on the Broncos, right? They drew up this contract. They had him sign it. They offered it to him. That's on them, right? So you got to honor it. If you want to bench your starting quarterback because you don't want to honor the contract that you gave him, and potentially miss out on playoffs, which is what everyone's playing for, right? You're playing for a Super Bowl. That's what we say, right? It just looks like a shitty, terrible look for the organization.
Awful organization look.
Yeah.
It's so messy, and I think we're going to find out some things in the offseason from both parties about each other that is just going to destroy the relationship even more.
Yeah.
Next year, I think his dead cap hit is like $50 million or something.
Yeah.
So they're not going to do anything next year. But if he passes a physical, they don't have to guarantee him that money for the following year. So it seems like a move that's for the future. But are we really certain that
they're going to make it?
Anything?
Well, if they cut him, they'd get rid of all that before 2024.
No. They will still have a dead cap hit of next year.
No. This $37 million would also become guaranteed if Wilson was still on the roster at the start of 2024. Oh, they're already on the hook for the $39 million.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for the following year.
Gotcha.
But if you go into the season with a rookie quarterback in Denver, you can take on some of that dead cap hit, right?
Yeah.
It's not about that first year, that next year. So they're pre-planning for his exit.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see it this offseason.
Yeah, that's true. That's crazy.
You know who I've heard, and we'll cycle this into the next topic.
Okay.
A potential spot for Russell Wilson.
I'm assuming you're talking about the Browns.
Other one, the Steelers.
Oh, the Steelers.
I would hate it. He is not the guy for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh needs a guy like Mason Rudolph leading the team with his bright red nose on Christmas.
Oh my God. Let's just go into that now. Mason Rudolph.
Rudolph.
Is he your savior?
He's the Steelers' savior for this season so far. He is the perfect combination between Kenny Pickett and Trubisky. He has put together both sides of both of their positives.
Okay.
And played a great game. It's been one game, okay? I know it's only been one game, but it was such a good game that it brings me positivity for the rest of the season.
Okay, let's be fair. The Browns aren't great, or not Browns. The Bengals aren't great.
So on defense, no, they're not.
They should have scored a decent amount in that game. They should have won, so that was good. He did play well, but next game's against the Seahawks.
I love it.
Do you think he's gonna go in there and get another win against Seahawks?
What I will say is if he goes into Seattle, into one of the hardest stadiums to play,
yep,
and he comes out with a win, especially when the Seahawks are also playing for a playoff spot,
yes,
he should be starting the rest of the year. No questions asked.
I agree with that. I mean, he only has 3 more games, though.
Yeah, it's such a weird predicament for the Steelers, though, because Kenny Pickett is ready to come back. They said they're not going to rush him back for this week. Okay,
yeah.
You can.
That's fair.
Yeah. You can justify that. But
it's 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks, dude. It's
the
Seahawks and the Ravens.
I know.
Okay.
They could make playoffs.
You're right. They could. That's the craziest part about all this. This season is kind of a stinker of a season.
Who expected the Steelers? Well, who expected the Steelers with Mason Rudolph to be a playoff contending team?
Not me. So I don't think they're going to beat the Seahawks. If they don't beat the Seahawks, do you go back? Do you get rid of Mason?
Yes. Yes.
But
you
what
go
if he
back
plays
Kenny
well?
Pickett.
What if he plays okay?
That's where it gets tough, right? This is such a tough scenario for the Steelers organization because Kenny Pickett is supposed to be your guy. If he's ready to come back next week against the Ravens, do you start him?
No.
Does Mason Rudolph play himself into a position where he's starting the rest of the year and you go from there?
I think so.
That's crazy.
Why would you? So you're saying you don't want to rush him back for the Seahawks game? Why would you put him in against the Ravens? Like that's a game. You're going to lose that game.
I see your point, but it destroys his confidence if he knows that Mason Rudolph, who, for the history that the Steelers have had,
it's true.
Did not, he was not the guy.
Yeah. I get that. Okay. Again, a weird predicament for the Steelers. If they beat the Seahawks, do they still have it? Do they have a chance at making playoffs? If let's say they beat Seahawks to lose the Ravens.
If they win, they kind of have to win out.
Okay.
They increase their playoff scenario significantly if they win both games. It goes from a 16% chance to an 80% chance if they win both games.
Okay.
If they don't win, it pretty much dies out. So.
Yes. Okay. I got that. Makes sense.
It's a week-to-week thing, for the Steelers fans.
What would be crazy, and this is going to go right into our next topic, if the Steelers make it, the Browns have made it, the Ravens are going to make it. To me, these three teams have had a lot of beef, and to see maybe a potential matchup somewhere would be very exciting.
I would love it. I would love it. The Steelers, so backing up a little bit,
yes,
the Steelers going into Baltimore week 18 is the perfect scenario for them. It is basically a playoff game.
Yeah.
As long as they beat the Seahawks.
Yeah.
This is if they beat the Seahawks, right?
Assuming they do. Yep.
That is a perfect introduction to the playoffs. They would then play probably the Dolphins, which they'll probably get destroyed by the Dolphins. But let's just say they win. They would play the Ravens again. Perfect scenario for
that would be a good scenario.
It is those types of games that the Steelers just somehow pull out.
Yeah. Just
like the beginning of the season when the Steelers played the Ravens and beat them in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Nobody expected that to happen, and that's just the type of game that they win. It's a Tomlin-led team that just comes to play.
Okay. All right. That is exciting. If they do beat the Ravens and play the Ravens again, I think they might beat them again. There's a chance.
I would love it.
Oh, gosh.
All right. You brought up the Browns. We got to give them some love. Played a great game last night. Solidified their spot in the playoffs. They still have the potential for the number 1 seed overall. It's crazy because if you told me that not only would Deshaun Watson be out, but their next 2 quarterbacks would get injured, and this is a Joe Flacco-led team, I would say they have a losing record.
On top of that, Nick Chubb hasn't played since week 1.
You're right. Nick Chubb has not played all season. Their linebackers are injured. They are the most injury-riddled team, and they are still finding ways to win.
You know what I think it is? And you said it. It's Joe Flacco. I think the new school of quarterbacks, as fun and as exciting some of them may be, nothing beats the early 2000s QBs that came in and were just heaving the ball. There's clips of Joe Flacco last night just sitting on the bench, just kind of nodding, falling asleep. He was practicing against Ray Lewis and going against Troy Polamalu, and it's these people don't mean anything to him. He can just come out here, toss it for 400 yards, and go take a nap after.
That was so funny though, because I was going to bring that up. Just the difference. And just him kind of falling asleep on the sideline.
He doesn't care.
He had 296 yards in the first half. Hit a point where he's just I'm exhausted,
He's like, I need to
and
go
it's just
to
it's his bedtime, and
bed.
I was I work in Cleveland, obviously, so I got a lot of Browns fans talking to me today,
Yeah.
and they're coming up to me like saying Joe Flacco is their version of their
It's their
savior.
guy. Yeah.
It's their the best quarterback that they've seen ever in Cleveland.
I think they said he was like 100 or something yards away from passing Baker, or not Baker, Benzo. Right? No. Who am I thinking of?
Sean,
No, no, no. The Johnny Manziel. Johnny
Johnny
Manziel.
Manziel,
Yeah, he's like 100 yards from passing him already. He's played for 3 games.
that's crazy. But this guy, I told them, I'm like, if he has an 8 o'clock start game, you better score 35 in the first half again
Because he
because
might not wake up.
he's not going to wake up after that.
Oh man. So this is a crazy point I want to bring up. Flacco was in talks potentially. There was rumors that he was going to go to the Jets. What? How bad do you think the Jets organization is kicking themselves right now?
Horribly. He knew the guys there.
Yep.
He had chemistry with some of them, right? And he goes to the Browns, okay, who are just as bad, positionally at quarterback as the Jets have been over the last, couple decades. And he goes and just balls out. I mean,
I think he's the number
you're
one
right, though.
quarterback right now.
Yeah,
Over the past couple weeks, he's like
couple weeks. Yep.
Since he started. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you'd still take other quarterbacks, but I mean, just statistically, if you look at it, I mean, he's
right now
he's
I'm
competing
picking
with
him.
all of them.
Yeah, I'm taking him.
He's got the confidence. He might throw a pick or two, but it's
He'll be fine,
just as equal to a punt. I mean, when you're throwing it 40 yards downfield and it gets picked,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, that's fine. And
yeah.
you let a defense who's top 5 in the whole NFL right now just
Gotta get it back.
sit back and just eat up these inexperienced quarterbacks. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I'm excited that the Browns clinch though, because with the Lions clinching, the Browns clinching, it's like, oh, maybe it's a new beginning for a lot of these NFL teams.
It's a new era. The Lions and the Browns are not at the bottom anymore. They're at the top. Well, almost. Browns are almost at the top.
Yeah.
And it's a great sight. You know what else is a great sight?
What?
Watching Mahomes
Suffer.
struggle.
Struggle. I know people are tearing on him, but that team is just in shambles. Like, when you're throwing it to players who can't catch the ball, what do you expect? I don't think it's all him. I still think he's a top tier quarterback.
Oh, absolutely. There's
some people that are tearing him apart. They're saying he shouldn't even be in the league right now. I'm like, come on.
Okay. Step back there.
Yeah.
Yes, his leadership is in question a little bit. Just Brady threw, kind of temper tantrums and stuff, but it's a little different. It feels a little different.
Yeah.
Brady would go up and, get in their face, right? And say like, hey, you need to you need to get together. Mahomes just feels like an Andy Reid led team rather than a Mahomes led team.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Which is a little concerning for his leadership style. But I mean, can you blame him? His receiver, his biggest receiver is a tight end who's 34 and
back issues.
Back issues, knee issues. Like he's on his way out, right?
He's doing better in the podcast world than sports world right
now. Yes, he sees the light at the end of the tunnel. He's on his way out. It's on the sharp decline.
Yes.
And his best receiver after that is Rashee Rice, who is a rookie and although does have a little bit of potential, is no Tyreek Hill, is no Jamar Chase, no Justin Jefferson. I mean, he needs someone to throw to.
Mm-hmm. And what's really tough for this team is the defense is good enough that they can keep them in games, but then it showcases how bad this offense is. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like, oh, you can get a game-winning drive going, interception. It's like, okay. It would be almost better if their defense was worse and they were getting blown out.
Yeah, it really would be, because then you could at least put some of the blame on the defense. But the Raiders didn't complete a pass after the first quarter
Oh my
and
god,
they
I
still
didn't hear that
lost.
stat. I did not hear that stat. That's crazy.
God,
Oh god, do we want to go into the final thought, talking about
have
getting
to,
blown
have
out?
to. Yeah, you talk about a struggle. Detroit Pistons, man, they're tied for the record of the longest losing streak at 28 games. They play the Raptors tomorrow.
This is the game they need to win.
This is the game, okay? If you're a Pistons fan, there's a lot of people saying that you want that title. No, you don't. You don't want that title.
I promise we don't want that.
They showed such promise last night against the Celtics, up
Yeah, that was tough.
19 at half, and they came all the way back and won in overtime.
Yeah,
Heartbreaking.
which, as the Celtics should, they should have won that game. It shouldn't even have been a question. What pisses me off is why did they not play that well against the Nets when they played the Nets back to back? How are you losing the Nets like pretty single handedly and then making it close against the Celtics? Driving me crazy. Jaylen Brown, I don't think played, so that probably had an effect on it. Yeah, this team's in shambles. I like that the lineup's changing a lot, so that's good. Right? Um, Isaiah Stewart isn't really playing much. Jalen Duren's back in the lineup, so that helps. Bogdanovich is still in the lineup, but he's not like putting up 30 minutes a game. He's like 25. That helps. Cade obviously has to take over. I really think Cade needs to put up like 50 points a game for them to win.
That's what it feels like.
It's brutal. Asar Thompson kind of needs to step up. I like that he's a utility player, but if you're starting, you need to score more than 10 points. It's what it comes down to.
I agree. Also, can we please get Joe Harris in the lineup?
I think they should cut him. I don't know why they brought him in.
I see why they brought him in, because he's the exact player that they need to play.
Yeah.
They brought him in, they traded for him, and they're not using him at all.
Yeah. I don't get it. I don't know if it's because it's like a chemistry thing that Monty's trying to figure out, and obviously he wants to develop the young talent, but at the same time, win a game. Like you can develop the talent after you break the losing streak. Like win one game and then switch bench Joe for the rest of the season. I don't care. Stop this. Stop this madness.
Yeah, it's awful. And Dwight Howard's made a comment. He's got a point saying
I would much rather have that lineup.
Yeah, IT, Kemba, John Wall, him, and I forgot the last one.
DeMarcus Cousins.
Yeah, DeMarcus Cousins. Yeah, he's right. They would win a game. May not be a lot, but they would win a game.
Why are they not bringing in someone like that? Why are they not bringing in anyone? Why aren't they doing anything?
They need some form of veteran leadership, and it cannot come from Bojan Bogdanovich.
I don't get it. I don't get what's wrong with the front office. I know people are saying to sell the team. I don't think they're going to sell the team. I know a lot of people are saying move to Canada, go to Montreal. Detroit's a sports city. There will always be a basketball team in Detroit. So that's not going to happen. I don't know what the front office is doing. I think they were holding open tryouts the other night. I don't know if that's a true statement, but I heard some rumors about that. I might throw my name in the ring. Who knows? Maybe I'll come off the bench, score 5 points.
Bring on J. Cole. Let him cook.
That's my thing. If you're gonna suck this bad, at least make it fun marketing. Bring in J. Cole. Bring in, I don't know. Just be the first team to have a female on the roster. Do something. Do something.
Yeah, it's GM's gone. Coach is probably gone. Blow it up.
Monty was not the move.
Nope.
And get rid of him.
I will confidently say I was wrong on that one. Thought Monty Williams was the guy to, at least get us to win a couple games, but I
don't know. I don't remember what my take officially was. I thought he would be okay, but I don't think I was too high on him. I'll go back and listen.
What I'll say is Paige is right.
What did Paige say?
Paige said that it was not going to work out.
We'll go back and we'll review and see what happened.
Okay. All right. That's all we got for you this week. We'll talk next week about, it's either going to be 2 weeks. I'm either going to be heartbroken or ecstatic. It's one of the two.
Yes. And then, so 2024, we are starting a new format. It's not just going to be one long episode. It'll be like 2 mini episodes mashed together. So we'll play some more games. We'll do more trivia. We'll do more betting, fantasy, and then we'll still have a couple topics that we talk about. So we got some things in store, and we will be back in 2024.
See you guys next year.
Peace.